and they were like, "Oh, we need a replacement for jungle for rank 5s." And so Huni just invited me off of his friends list.
Okay.
And then we played against TSM.
Oh my God.
And they lane swapped. And
you're just like, dude, I thought I was playing ranked 5s.
Yeah, I thought I was just playing rank 5s for fun.
You just queued up for a scrim.
Everyone is yelling at me and they're like, "No, now's the time you go here, and you go here, and you go here." Hello and welcome back to The Dive, driven by Kia, Season 9, Episode 24. Azael is out sick today after we were just praising him for not getting sick ever. But we've got a replacement. We have a champion designer. Max, Riot Yelough, is here. Before we get into that, though, we have to sell some stuff. Some LTA tickets. You should definitely go look because the LTA tickets are on sale, all split. We've got our championship in Texas included, but specifically this weekend, we have a Spirit Blossom opening day theme. It was super fun last split when we did the Spirit Blossom theme. There's free food, there's like cosplayers and a bunch of activities and stuff. So definitely come check it out. And you can also get one of these exclusive LTA Poros. So with all of that, welcome Max.
Oh, hello.
The champion designer of Yunara as well as some others.
Yep.
But I'm very excited for this one. Do you want to introduce some of your previous work as well leading up to Yunara?
Yeah, sure. Riot Yelough. I've been at Riot for about 3 years now. My first project was I sort of helped wrap up the Aurelion Soul gameplay update. My biggest contribution was like the Shockwave Ultimate, like the upgrade.
The big one?
Yeah, the one you get
meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
and then,
contribution.
yeah, thank you. And then I started on Ambessa. That took a very long time because we was like timing it with the Arcane release, so we had a really, really long lead time for her. While I was doing that, I also had some minor contributions to Smolder when his designer was out getting married. So like Smolder's like first 2 Q upgrades, like the bounces, and then also his W are some things I've contributed there. And then Yunara has been like the last like year or so of my life.
Nice. Yunara specifically, a lot of the other ones you mentioned, like Ambessa and stuff, just seems so different from designing an AD carry and from Yunara specifically. Yunara, to me, the first thing that stood out, I was like, oh, it's so much simpler than so many of the other like recent champs that were released. And I was very happy because like my flex queue friend, AD carry, was like, I'm spamming this champ no matter what. And it was like super easy for him to pick up. And like we instantly won some games. But was that one of the goals that you had with this champion? Considering Ambessa is your previous one and is a little bit more complicated and has
just a tiny bit. Yeah. So it's definitely different. One of the goals with Yunara was to deliver a very traditional feeling marksman in modern day League. And if you want to be disingenuous, you could look at the roster and say, we haven't made a traditional right clicker since Jinx. And if you want to be slightly more generous, you could say it's Aphelios, but he's Aphelios. Or maybe Zaya, but also she's got a lot of like positional feather stuff going on. So we really wanted to make a marksman that's just like, are you the core marksman audience? Here's your new toy. We owe you one. And it was like, there's a lot of restraint and a lot of like me learning to have some restraint of like, no, do less and let the auto attack really be the focus. So like, she is like one real spell that is not just I buff myself. Yeah. And it's like this funny line skill shot that turns into a laser. It's like, all it does is slow somebody. The damage is bad. Yeah. It just says like, go auto attack. Please go auto attack.
Yeah, they're like, if you don't understand this one, they're like, well, I don't know, we can't help you. Yeah. I saw some memes. People took pictures of like the text for the passive being so straightforward compared to like these paragraphs and stuff.
Yeah. Like, I've been playing a lot of Ambessa, so shout out to making her a lot of fun. And I was reading her tooltips. Like we hold down shift and you look at it, and the passive for Ambessa is like the craziest thing I've read. There's like all the like fine print at the bottom. It's like, if you like input your attack command, but then press S before it goes off, you like will attack without moving and all this stuff. It's it's very cool for the technical side of things, but I do think it's nice to have the more simple champions as well, especially for like, if you're a new player, right? It's like
totally. And I think it's like different champs are for different people. The person who's excited about Ambessa probably looks at Yunara and is like, ew, keep it away. And a person who's excited about Yunara is like, get that Ambessa abomination out of my game. I don't want her there.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't played Yunara yet, but I have played against her and with her quite a bit. and it seems like the results I get are pretty wildly different. Some of them, especially when paired with like an enchanter, I've seen like Yunara Lulu look really, really strong. And then other times I've seen her just hard feed the entire game and never get useful. So what do you think about the way she's launched? Because, you know, I've also seen like a ton of different builds. You know, it's like some people are doing the traditional AD carry, like Yuntao, IE, whatever. And then I also seen like the on-hit one.
Yeah. So in terms of like how she launched, we had this little internal poll of like, what's her day one win rate going to be? And I said 44%. It was exactly 44%. So, and like her win rate growth has been like exactly as the team predicted, so much that we're like, we're not touching her next patch. We're like, nope, she's good. People are still learning. Like there seems to be like a real initial hump to like get functional on her, and then it starts to level out, but we don't know how long it takes to level out. It's still growing.
Yeah.
And so we think that she's like straightforward, but not easy. It's that like, there's a lot of, she's like so fundamentals oriented. It's like, are you good at spacing and orb walking and getting damage uptime? Congrats, you're going to be really great. No? Well, you're going to suffer. She's probably a little support dependent at the moment. So like, yeah, Lulu, Renata, hard engage supports like Leona, Thresh, Nautilus, Alistar work really, really well. And then you're like, oh, she's in a lane with like Zyra or Xerath or Seraphine. You're like, wow, this sucks.
I think that it might be fairly universal for AD carries.
Yeah, but I think even like, that's definitely true. I think most AD carries are not like happy for that, but like she has no poke.
Yeah.
Like what she needs, like
what if you go W max?
It's bad.
Okay.
The W looks really cool though. I do like how, you know, it's got multiple, you know, spinning and slows down.
It's like a reverse action boomerang where instead of like speeding up through stuff, it just stops.
Yeah, it kind of just gets stuck, and then the counterplay is actually walk to the side or walk through it. Like if you walk away from it, you're like gonna take all of the damage. But like, you know, it's like it's bad poke because it just like gets stuck in a wave. And its damage to minions is modded very low up until like the middle of the game, so we can keep her out of mid lane. And so we don't want her just like pushing the wave. And so it's like fine, but like you just want someone to like lock them down for a minute so you can just pump out some damage.
Yeah.
A lot of people do tune in for tips and tricks. So while we're on this, like, what are your tips to the people learning Yunara so they can like jump ahead on the mastery curve?
I think the biggest thing that I notice is people play her somewhat cowardly, which is that it's like you look at the 8 stacks to get your Q and you're like, this is hard, this is too many. It's like, no, it's actually really easy because it's only 4 for champions. So just like you can not like quite the level of Draven, but you can kind of walk at them like a sociopath level 1 and just like try to stat check them, and you get a lot of value out of that because you chip them down, but also you're getting prio because you're also bouncing the attacks to the wave. So you're getting push while you're doing damage. And so that gives you a really good like level 2 crash, and then you're just like advantaged for the lane for a pretty good while.
So are you saying as soon as you get your Q charged up, or are you saying be aggressive in charging up your Q off of their heads?
Yeah, charge up the Q off their heads, and like if you can charge it to 6 on a minion, and then you can auto a champion, and then it'll instantly charge it, so you can get an auto reset and then Q auto. And so there's a lot of like little nuance of power there. When she has her ult, the ult is also the auto reset if the Q isn't on, so you can like auto R auto, and then your dash is also an auto reset, so you can like triple auto somebody and like really frag out quickly if you have the space for it.
Yeah, I've noticed the W while you're ulted is really big though. The regular W is kind of pitiful, but once you turn it into the Kamehameha laser beam, then it actually feels really, really big.
Yeah, it has to. It's like it's meant to be like about 1.5 autos worth of damage, but also in an AOE, so you can just snipe 3 people and just frag them out and run them down.
The first time I saw in game, I was like jump scared by it. I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit to what you were saying about, I thought it was really interesting how you mentioned that like her W's bad wave clear to keep her out of mid. And I've always been like really interested in hearing about the design side of League because, you know, it's such a complicated game and like there's a lot of things to account for, right? And I think AD carry right now has kind of been a hot topic, especially in the community, because it's a role that, you know, it can be very strong, but I also think it's one of the most painful to play. And like I like playing all roles, but I don't really enjoy AD carry, especially the solo queue experience. It's like, hey, I'm going to queue up AD carry. Oh, I don't know what my support is or what the matchup is. I'll blind pick something. Oh, great. I have a Xerath and they have Samira Nautilus. I guess GG. And so there's that. And then it's like, hey, every assassin in the game, hey, that 10-0 Camille up there, yeah, guess who he's coming for? Yep. So like there's so much that goes into AD carry. Like there's so much punishment it can take. But then on the flip side, there's also the issue of like when AD carries get played in solo lanes, they can be so oppressive to like every other matchup, right? So how do you go about doing that? Like how do you make it feel as though you have agency while also not being like way too OP and just like dominating everyone?
Yeah, so I'm going to open with the asterisk of I don't work on live balance. You would not like the game if I was in charge of live balance. So take it with a grain of salt. But
wait, what would you do?
Oh, the game would be so sharp. The game would be like absolute bloodbath. Every game ends at like 18 minutes.
Okay.
But it's just like not.
Nexus Blitz. The Nexus is start walking.
Exactly, yeah. But and so it's, you're right. It's like AD carry has largely, not every champion, largely has the fantasy of just wait, I'm going to be really strong. I need a bunch of money to deliver that throughput. But it also means that like to a degree, the game is about you. But if you're too much, then you're sort of invalidating every other role. Like if top lane, like, AD carries have the best spell in the game, which is a free auto attack that does a giant amount of damage. And you can dump it out for free. And so we backload them to be like, oh, you need money. But which means that like for a while you're just sort of a sitting duck, and so we need to give you enough agency and enough tools to feel like you're contributing and have the tools to play your game and interact, but not so overwhelming and so powerful that you can suddenly go into every role. And then we wind up with the meta from last year, which is just like 80 carries everywhere, baby.
Yeah.
And I think like we have a lot of like tools in the toolbox to like adjust this. I also did some of the adjustments to Smolder to get him out of mid. So a lot of lessons were like learned there, which is, okay, well, if they can just push away for free, well, that's really bad because then they're just going to do that and they're going to just be like, neutralize the lane. Nothing happens. Look, I'm scaling for free. Another one is like, how much are you scaling with gold versus levels? Like Yunara's levels are bad. Like, you want to hit level 9 to cap out your Q. More MS on the E is pretty good. But then your ult is actually where all of the other power is because you're like, well, my W spell's bad until I have ult, which means I just need level 9.
Yeah.
And like the levels don't matter nearly as much as just like I have 175% AD ratio on my RW. You're going to die. And then in terms of like top lane, by comparison, you're like, yeah, range tops when they show up can be really annoying because half the top lane roster is like 125 range and just wants to man fight you, and then you've got Quinn and Vayne that are like tickling you from a distance, being really rude.
Right before I came here, I actually queued up a solo queue game because I like woke up early and I played Ambessa versus Yunara. It was like your two children fighting in top lane.
Wait, and did you win? Because you're the Ambessa, right?
Yeah, I was the Ambessa. Yeah, we won. Someone on the team rage quit pretty early, so it wasn't a super long game. But yeah, the matchup was pretty. He was like really strong level 1. Kind of caught me off guard.
Yep. Her level 1's really, really good. She doesn't get that much value out of like 2 and 3, and then like 6 is really big spike for her.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you. There was a Reddit post, I think a day or two ago, about she had like the interesting ulti haste interaction with her abilities. So, could you walk us through exactly how it works? Because it's like when you ulti, all of her basic abilities become affected by ulti haste. Is that how it works?
Yeah. One of the things that internally someone really wanted, they wanted to play AP Yunara and build Malignance, and they're like, my RW doesn't work. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to treat your ultimate the spells in the ultimate state as ultimate abilities, and they get all the consequences of that, which means like they don't benefit from basic ability haste. So if you built a Shojin, it won't do anything. But in compensation, it works with like, Ultimate Hunter, and works with like Axiomark or whatever.
Navori would be really bad.
I actually tested this. It's funny that you guys are talking about this because I tested this because I saw Elk and Pays and solo queue were doing a Navari build. And so I went in, and Navari works.
Yeah.
Really?
Also. So
yeah, we've been talking about like, it's sort of like a matter of like, what's the phrasing of the ability? Is it supposed to be phrased gains the benefits of an ultimate ability versus is treated as an ultimate ability because they mean different things? Mm-hmm. So we're figuring out the right way to do it because we don't want it to be like so obviously favored that it's just like this spell benefits from everything in the game. Nothing, your choices don't matter. But we want it to be like, oh, but if you want to like find the cool ult haste build, you want to find the build that lets you jam out 1 billion RWs.
Yeah.
I want to enable you as long as it's not like shattering the game.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I was doing a hexplate build with it because the hexplate, like, I was like, okay, my ultimate is the best part of like playing this champion.
What is the cooldown on her ult?
It's like 100 minus 15 per rank.
Okay.
So it's like it's pretty low.
Yeah.
It also ticks while it's active, so it's like actually it's like 85.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But then once you pop that thing, you're like God. And I was like, okay, so I just want that more. So hexplate, and then like did like a tanky version build that had multiple like health scalings with it. But okay, so we should get this clear though right now. The RW, it does benefit from ultimate haste, and you're saying it doesn't from like Sojin basic ability stuff, but it definitely does because I did it yesterday. The flicker blade definitely does work.
I think it's more like when we launched, I had to like go through a bunch of items and be like, what's the right interaction? And I missed some. And so we're figuring out if it's supposed to be using ult haste versus ability haste versus like, we're figuring out the right.
Okay.
The right
so
one.
Sojin is, I think right now, Sojin is probably the only thing that doesn't reduce stupid. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's also that there's a difference between ult haste and what Navori says it does, because Navori says reduces your ability cooldowns versus basic ability haste. I don't know. The game's like, phrasing is complicated.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like a case by case is fine because most players are like not the studious types who's gonna like go through every phrase, and like in card games, people will do that. They're like, hey, like there's this inconsistency here. This is like completely ruining the game. But in League, it's like I swear most players don't read patch notes.
Oh yeah, well, most players aren't reading most of the tooltips either. They're just like, especially like, especially not the shift tooltips. They like hover over. They're like, I get magic damage on hit. Cool, I'm gonna right click you or whatever.
Yeah.
Going back to the previous question about like the itemization, which is like, I might have done too good a job to let her build whatever she wants. Of like, she has a crit passive, but she also has on hit on her Q, and I'm like, okay, well, both of these systems need to feel good enough that if you're engaging with them, you're having fun and you're feeling paid out. But like, there's a real question that it poses is like the first couple items are sort of like fixed. You're like, am I doing Kraken or am I doing Yuntal? But then like you get to the fourth item, you're like, what the fuck what do I build here? Like, do I build a Zonia's? Do I build a BT? Do I build a Terminus? And it's like, that's a really hard question. And in a way that the game doesn't usually make the item system pose you a problem. It usually solves your problems. But for her, it's like, no, I've created a problem for you. You have to like look at the game state and look at your game plan and look at your enemy comp and be like, the mathematically perfect thing to do here is I'm supposed to build a Terminus because reasons.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, for what it's worth,
I think
I enjoy it.
That is so much better than just doing the same thing every game. I think it's really fun playing champs who have that option to like, just build to what the game needs. Right? It's like, okay, the enemy team is all tanks this game. I should probably, build some tank shredding stuff. But then you have other champs where it's like, okay, well, they're so locked into these like interactions from items and their abilities. Like I would say Lucian's an example, right? Where it's like on Lucian, if you're up against a bunch of tanks or a bunch of squishies, like you're not really changing your build, right? It's like Essence, Reaver, Navori, i.e. Lord Dom. Like you can kind of switch the order a little bit depending on how you're doing, but he's never really going to kill the Scion too quickly. But I do think it's really cool when you have that option to like adjust it or whatnot. Is she going to be, you think she's going to be like totally tied to taking Ulti Hunter and like the Axiom Arcanist stuff?
I think they're powerful. I think it really is like, when are you trying to be powerful? I think a lot of people are going like Biscuits, free boots, just because the gold efficiency of Biscuits and free boots early and the ability to like not die is very valuable. Where you're like, oh, how much ult haste do I need to get an extra dash off, or how much ult haste do I need to get two or like one more laser? I think that I don't even know that math breakpoint. I think that it's like if you fully stack Ult Hunter, you don't quite get another RW, but you do get another RE. And so someone has a spreadsheet somewhere that's going to tell them exactly what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I definitely do like when it's kind of exploratory and there's a lot of pathways open though. So I'm kind of happy that the Flicker Blade is an option because it's not very popular at all. Maybe that's due to people like assuming that it doesn't work or something.
Yeah, I think it's also that it's like competing with the other Zeal items and like, RFC ain't it, but Hurricane is really good on her because it applies her Q. So
that's like Jinx, Rockets, Hurricane type stuff.
Yeah, so it applies all of her like her bounces, and so you can like echo slam people, or it's like when you're like
How much
Ride
damage
Flux.
if there's 3 stacked champions then and you're like queuing with a hurricane into them, like how much is each one taking from all that?
The primary target would get 100% AD. Then the other targets would get like 50. Let's say there's 2 other targets, they each get like 55%, and then each of those bounces would do 30%. So
Oh,
like
wow.
the primary target's taking like 160%,
Okay, that does
and
sound
all the other
strong.
ones are taking like 85% or something. like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, seems
It's
pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Oh, one other question I had on the topic of AD carries is what is your opinion on enchanters for AD carries? Because in my opinion, I'll preface this by saying I've kind of been an enchanter hater since day one, right? Like I like playing people that go in. Lulu tilts the hell out of me, right? Okay, so I'm biased against them, but at the same time, I feel like it's hard for AD carries to exist in a balanced state when enchanters exist, right? Is because like if you're playing Aphelios, right, you are way stronger with an enchanter. Like Aphelios Lulu is insane. Like they can dive you and you just plant and kill them, right? But then if you don't have that, if you have a Zareth or a Zyra, then you are just completely on your own. And so I'm always wondering like how can AD carries exist in a world where they can function without an enchanter while not being like so broken with an enchanter that you're just like
I think it's very AD carry dependent. Lucian is like the peak example of his passive just says, if I've been enchanted, I get extra values. You're like, we would love to get him out of mid lane, but it's also be like, enchanters are really good with him. Engage is good too, but now you have like this highly functional other thing. Versus other champions like, I don't know, Samira's like fine to have an enchanter, but she'd really love a Nautilus, or she'd really love a Thresher.
I don't think I've ever seen Samira with an enchanter before.
I'm sure that you can see her with like a Nami, or you can see her with like they'll do damage. Like
Yeah.
they're going to contribute something, but they're not going to give you the value that you want. I think to me, and again, not the balance guy.
Yeah.
My take is that I think my bigger problem with bot lane is that when mages are really powerful there, they neutralize the game in a way that like gets in the way of the AD carry getting to do their job. Even if they're like just farming up, they're like, well, we're just sitting here and Ziggs is hucking bombs at the wave and Zyra's doing Zyra things. And I'm like, all right, I just won't play. I'll just sit here and just understand that in 10 minutes I'll be stronger than you and I'll suffer. I think that's like unfortunate, but I think it's because we have such a wide diversity of what different marksmen want in order to be functional. We sort of need to support. Most marksmen need to feel good enough with an enchanter versus an engage, and some of them provide more and less. And like, I don't want Soraka on my team when I'm playing Yunara, but I definitely don't mind a Nami, and I would love a Lulu, and I like Emilio too. Like it really depends on their like the kit synergy stuff.
Makes sense.
So when you're designing champions, how much do you think about its position that it's going to fill in pro play? And where do you see Yunara fitting into the pro meta right now? Because I see at least a couple of builds where she can spike on just like 2 items instead of having to go, super long, like multi AD carry synergies, like super duper late game. But then she's also is like a hyper carry style. So do you think is she like a weak early lane phase, into a like 2 item power spike, or is it like an actual hyper carry?
Yeah. So I'll start off with the development side of stuff, which is when we're working on a character, by default, we don't usually say, this character is going to be in pro and I'm going to do this thing. We occasionally do that, like Cassante, for good and bad, was designed to be this incredibly skill expressive tank. And by default, any tank that can be skill expressive is of course going to just show up in pro. Versus Ambessa wasn't like explicitly, let's make a champion for pro. It's let's deliver the best Ambessa and like use this mechanic to its fullest and like see how it goes. So for Yunara, it wasn't like, let's put her in pro, but then like as we get further into development and we know what the kit is and we're trying to like tune it, we're like, okay, what are the really pro oriented aspects of this kit, and like, are we happy with this character like launching in a state of like 100% pick ban? We're like, well, probably not. We don't mind if she shows up, we're happy to see her there, but if she was like the best marksman of the patch for like multiple patches, we'd be like, ooh, something's gotta change. And like for Yunara, some of the things we were worried about is like, oh yeah, no, her Q early is actually very powerful. Her EMS is like the most freedom freedom giving tool in the game. Is just I get more move speed than you. I can do whatever I want. I can move forward. I can move back. I can dodge things. And so that's like a very elite level play tool. And it's like on its own, that's not going to like make or break her in pro, but it definitely is like a compounding factor with many other things. So I think we expect her to show up. I don't think she's going to be the best marksman of the patch, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her a fair bit. And like, I want to see her in pro. Like, I want to see her pop off and do some cool stuff.
What do you think her weakness is going to be?
I think there are many lanes where she can get really bullied early. I don't want to play into Lucianami. I don't want to play into Kate Lux. I don't want to play into anybody who can like actually stat check me or outrange me early. And then she definitely does spike at like 2 items, and then she has the option to be like, what if my 2 item spike was worse, but I'll get this really great 3 or 4 item spike where I can go like i.e. Hurricane and just front to back you like crazy. Or if I need a spike on 2, maybe I'm looking for, we're playing a little more divey, a little more skirmishy. I want to like find some picks. And then you're like, oh no, I actually want Kraken IE or Kraken something else just so I can get some early damage and just like go.
So my tank build, actually rate my build. How about this?
I just heard tank build.
Yeah. So, I watched this guy X Petu is a Shen
guy, yeah.
But he does a lot of item stuff all the time. Some of it is like way overcooked, but I actually liked some of the Yunara interactions that he found. And the first one that he found was which totally makes sense and works as intended, is the Hullbreaker, because Hullbreaker's proc, like it's very powerful, and it only works on like champions, epic monsters, and towers. So when I was playing the Kraken one, I was like, oh, it's good damage, but you have to get your procs correct. Like if you activate your Q too early, then it's going to splash and like the proc gets wasted on a minion in the back, and like the ones that go on the back are going to be reduced because it's a damage proc. But Hullbreaker only procs on champions.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, that's genius. Like I fully stack it off minions, and then I auto attack champions, and then I added the ultimate haste with the Hexplate.
Okay.
To have the tank synergy scaling there, and then the Hurricane, and then we won the game. But were
you doing any damage?
I actually still was.
Really?
Because the Hullbreaker procs, like you can just once I got the Hurricane, then I can Hullbreaker proc multiple people at the same time. So if they're ever clumped up, like
it works like that.
Yeah, it's turbo OP. Yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe not OP, but
the way it works is that the Hurricane. I mean, her bounces are considered attacks, or like they not considered like attacking, but they do damage as though they are an attack. Okay. Which is why like if you have Kraken, it'll like bounce, you'll be like, oh, I just got a full Kraken proc off of one auto because there was 3 people there, which means that it's like the Hullbreaker thing is like, yeah, if I have enough targets, and it also works with the Hurricane bounces, you're like, oh my god, I'm just like proccing these. I'm like all these systemic effects are proccing all at the same time.
Are you just getting a Hullbreaker proc every auto if you're like going with the Hurricane?
It was so it's hard to seek, but whenever they were grouped up, they were all dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it was just
I like this.
Spraying stuff everywhere.
You can also do it with Titanic Hydra.
That was
for your health build.
Yeah. It was gonna be one of my later. I was debating that versus Overlord's Bloodmail. Overlord's
That's
Bloodmail.
like the G2 Corki build.
That thing is OP right now. So I was like, okay, but there are definitely tanky builds. I'm glad that there are so many different ones, because I saw someone doing Rylai's as well.
Yep. That's a bug. The bounces should not be applying Rylai's.
Okay, so it should. Wait, should Rylai's work at all with any of her auto attack then?
No.
Okay,
that's just
because right now the spraying one.
Yeah, they're for some reason they're considered spells and they're not supposed to be.
Okay. How is AP on Yunara? Because you mentioned Malignance, and is it just meant to be a for fun like AP Lucian build, or is there actual merit to this?
So Malignance I think is bad because it's like the only thing that procs it is the RW, so like, and you don't care about the mana. So I think that one's bad. I do think that like if you're in a game state where your entire team is AD and you're picking Yunara, you're like, oh, there's a way to lean in to be more magic damage than normal. I can go Nashor's Rageblade, Deathcap, and like I will do meaningful magic damage. It's not going to be nearly as much as if I went crit, but I can contribute to the team in a way that's like helpful. And her damage split is already like, it's like 65-35 or like 60-40. Like it's pretty split.
Okay.
And then the health build is like cooked. I think that if it turns out to be like really, really good, we'll do something about it. But I suspect that it's like people just having fun, and I like, please go have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's like it's
Like,
always
you
gonna
have fun. What?
Yeah, like
Crazy.
Meteos was saying earlier, like that's one of the things I love about Volibear is like you can build whatever you're feeling. Like you can build AD, AP, or anything in between. So I definitely like, since we have so many champions, some champions should be this like open world basically of builds, and give you the extra options. Okay, so back to the pro play question as well though. If a team, if it turns out like this is super like pick ban pro or whatever, how are teams going to defeat her? Is it go back to like the same way that we dealt with OP Zeri? We pick Vi and like, all these like point and click things just to be able to stop her. In my game so far, I haven't had a hard time like getting on her and stomping her. I think that's one difference between like the OP release Zeri and this champion, which they do feel kind of similar because they're both pretty ult reliant and carries like that. But like, what's our like break the glass emergency? We need to stop all these Yunara comps.
Yeah, I think point and click engage is always really good. Break out your Ambessa ults and your Vi ults and just grab her and pound her into the ground.
Hey, best ult is not point and click. I miss that thing every time.
Okay, it's not point and click, but it is fast.
Yeah.
It is long range and fast. I think that's an easy one. I think there's like any AD carry, playing from behind sucks, and so you're like,
camper
if
early.
you can camper early, you can also just play some bullies, like play Lucian Ami, play Kate Lux, play Draven Pike, like some really goated teams do, and just kill her. And I think that when she's behind, it's really hard for her because she's pretty range gated. Like Zeri has the benefit of like her auto attack range is slightly longer than it looks because it's like a skill shot, and so Yunara has 575 range, which is slightly above average, but she ain't Ashe, and she definitely ain't Caitlyn, and so you can just like poke her with some spells, and she has to like not quite commit, but she has to get pretty close relatively to like keep up damage uptime, and she is not very bursty. She's like, no, I really do need to auto attack you like 6 times to kill you, and when you have to do that, I think it can be punishable.
What about Ambessa? I know Meteos has been spamming a whole bunch of it, and since you did design the champ, and it is very prominent in pro play, how do you feel about the current state of Ambessa / like, where do you see the champ going? Yeah,
I think Ambessa's in a good spot where she's like not obviously the best thing you can be doing in top lane, but she's like a pretty reliable thing you'll see in Fearless rounds like 2 through 4. And just I think that she's clearly powerful, but also I think she's got like a pretty weak laning phase. I think that she sort of baits her players into hero plays and then they int, and that's always good.
Doran.
I love watching Doran play her. But yeah, like I think that she's showing up in pro in a way that like my understanding is we're like happy to see. I think Ambessa is a character who sells like a super high skill fantasy, and it would be really sad to not see her there. And in terms of like her tuning, I have my own like personal biases. I think I'd rather see her be a little stronger early, a little weak later. But I think that her passive is really wild and sort of unfair. And so the way to make it fair is like, let's just make her lane reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Thanatos is top 3-5 in the world, Ambessa? We're pretty big fans.
I mostly watch LCK and LPL due to keeping bad sleeping hours.
Okay.
Bin's really good. Keen's really good. Doran is a coin flip, but generally pretty good. Even Bwipo's really good at her. Like I love watching. I'm so biased. I just watch all my champs all the time.
Nice.
Dude, have you seen there's one Chinese guy on the super server who gets rank 1, and I wish I remember his name because it's like Zhao something. It just autofills when I look him up on YouTube because I always watch his VODs.
Zhao Xiaoming.
Yeah, that
XCM,
dude. Yeah, that guy is insane.
Yes.
He's he's got to be like
that guy's really
best or
really
one of them.
That guy's really really good. He's like one of the 3 players I see doing the like stop cancel thing that you were talking about earlier, which is like, oh yeah, if I right click somebody during my spell but then tap S, I'll do the auto and not dash. There's like 3 people I see actually do it.
Should I be doing that? I feel like it's useful, but at the same time, I'm like, oh man, like this is
Only
a lot.
useful if you're like already on top of them and you're not trying to space them. You're like, I just need the damage to come out faster, and like spending the time to do the dash is going to be the thing that kills you.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and there's like a couple players. There's like the Mbessa Mains Discord, and there's like one guy who posted a video there. I'm like, oh my god, he's like so smooth with it that he's like, it looks like he's orb walking on a melee character. He's just like doing this thing, and she's like Q auto S move, and he's like, it's so smooth.
I gotta
really
see that.
it's really hard though. Like
Yeah.
even our internal like playtest team, I like put that mechanic there. They're like, ain't nobody doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel
Meteos is gonna do it.
maybe, but that to me feels like one of those things that's like years down the line when people have more and more time. You know, it'll start with like one guy who's doing it, and everyone's like, "Whoa, like that's so crazy! No one can do it." With like Lee Sin war jump kicks, and right, it's like you saw Insect do it. It was like, "Whoa, that's the coolest thing ever!" Like, what is that? People try and mess it up all the time, but now it's like, you know, people are doing that in Silver, and even Riven with like her. There was the whole like, you know, Q move auto cancel whatever.
Click the ground thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was at one point like this crazy thing nobody could do, and now it's pretty common, I imagine, amongst Riven players.
Yep.
So,
It sort of,
you know,
like over time, it's sort of become like as more people become comfortable with it, it sort of becomes like table stakes. You kind of have to do this.
Yeah.
Because over time, we also wind up tuning the character, assuming you're doing this thing. And I think in the case of Ambessa, this one is like niche enough that we're like, it's not even close. And at some point, like, oh, do we need to like slow down her empowered auto frame by like a quarter, like a 1/10 of a second to make it okay? Maybe. But I think for now, it's like, yeah, there's like 3 people.
all right, so you're saying I need to learn it, and then
You'll get ahead. You'll be ahead of the
Okay,
curve. You'll be a decade ahead.
Catch me in practice tool.
It reminded me of so do you remember when Canyon did the Lee Sin one where he I forget even how you do it, but he inputted something with the safeguard while he's queuing through, and so it basically ended up that he got to do his R while he was sliding through. Everyone at the time was like, "Oh my god, it's going to be the new Insect. Everyone's going to be able to do that in a couple years." And I'm like, hell no, we're not. Like, what the hell? I'm not going to be able to do
that is still for me, I think, like the highest mechanical play I've ever seen in a high stakes pro game. Like, to me, that's just like Canyon is just on a completely another level.
For me, it's between that one and the Bin Camille, the wall jump flash, or the flash wall jump thing to extend it. That one, I tried to go on practice tool and do that, and it was like I got like 1 out of 50 in the beginning also.
Yeah. The presence of mind to do a play like that when the stakes are so high, that's the crazy thing. It's like, even if you practiced it 100 times and maybe you're nailing it like 20% of the time, you're not making that play in ranked. You're not making that play in a high pressure situation. You're gonna always pick the like most people are gonna pick the like reliable play.
There was a Gragas in front of him too. Like,
it's
Gragas can stuff you. It's like, nah, I'll never be Canyon, and that's okay.
Yeah, that was super fun. I guess then to wrap it up, did you watch MSI? Because it sounds like you watched LPL and LCK.
Yeah, I watched a fair bit of MSI.
Yeah. What was your favorite part?
Let me see. I mean, I watched FlyQuest with Hope.
Oh, did you watch the game 3 Nexus attempt?
Yes, that it was so.
Yeah,
it's sad.
I
was very sad. That whole series was crazy. Like every single game felt so back and forth and so close. Like honestly, almost everything from like quarterfinals forward was an incredible series. Do I have a particular moment? Oh man, that base race.
You know, I think my favorite moment was T1 versus Genji the first time around when they locked in Draven Pike game 5. 'Cause in my mind, that is something you would play if you're like way better than your opponent, because I think those champs individually are both not very good, and together is like it's so all in, and it's almost just disrespectful. But the fact that T1 did it, and then they were actually making it work for the first 15 minutes of the game, that was so sick to me. I'm just like, T1 are showmen first, and they're so good at it. It's like they'll just whip that out and almost make it work. That was just so amazing to me. It's like that is what makes League so hype.
Yeah, that draft was really great. I also think it's like that is the I assumed Gen G was gonna win, but I see that team and I'm like I see that comp. I'm like, you know what? No, T1. I really hope they should win.
If they won with that,
if they won with that, it'd be like, come on. I'm definitely gonna cheer for the team that picked. Like I forget what the jungle was, but it was like Mbessa. It was Lee Sin, Mbessa, Draven Pike, and like some other like. I'm like that is a really aggressive solo queue team you've put together. I really hope it works.
Yeah, that was for sure my favorite game.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Max. Oh, wait. I wanted to ask one more item question because we got through all of the things that are intended / not intended. But the Cull life on hit, the text is only damage on hit procs are reduced to 30% with the splashes. So it should be intended. It should stay that the Cull life on hit stays full value, right?
Yeah, it is working as written. If it turns out to be like a problem, we'll fix it. I don't see it being a problem, mostly because I think Doran's Blade is just better. But I think
it would probably be like a first back thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's a first back thing. I feel like if we see like the comical Urgot thing where you're like, I bought 4 culls and now you can't kill me in lane. I'm like, all right, well that's
can you
just
do that.
Yeah,
can you buy more than 1 cull?
Yes, you can.
I've never tried. Okay,
it's like you can do it. I don't think it's good, but like that's how you want to invest your money because you can only stack cull. You can only get the sell the gold value from cull once. So until it's a problem, we ain't touching it.
Yeah.
But if it's a problem, I'm gonna shoot it in the head.
Yeah. There's I like all the fun item interactions with the champ. But yeah, thank you for joining us. We are gonna take a quick break and we will be right back with our power rankings as well as the next patch.
Ready, set, go!
I'm at 47%.
Oh, I'm on 63%.
Man, I'm at 50%. Boom! 80% winner! The Kia EV9 can go from 10% charge to 80% charge in just 24 minutes with DC fast charging.
Welcome back to The Dive, driven by Kia. We also need to promote some fantasy. Fantasy is coming back, Meteos.
Let's go.
Are you going to go with your same Cloud9 strategy?
Yeah, of course. What else would I do?
They took a lot of feedback from fans on fantasy, so they're making some improvements to the app and the overall experience. And Mark has assured me that they're going to continue to make updates in addition to these improvements, but as the split goes on. So fantasy, I think it was already pretty fun last time. So I'll definitely run back a team as well.
I feel like I would, if I could make like 2 teams, I would want a team of like people on the potential bottom tiers just to give more stakes for those matches, right? It's like, because I remember while I was trying to work up enough money to buy all of C9, I was running some other people. Like, who was it? I think I had, what was it? Lions, I think.
Okay.
And he was making me bank.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like hyped to watch his games.
Nice. Yeah, you got some extra skin in the game on the lower ones. That's nice. Always good. Okay, so we are going to start with patch 25.14 at the beginning of this splits, and this one is not one of the like super big ones for professional play, but one of the ones that I've seen affect a decent amount of champs was the big buffs to Kraken Slayer specifically. This thing feels really good. For solo queue, Kindred was already in a good spot, and you can do Kraken Slayer Kindred versions now. I think the Trinity Force version is also still really good. So
I've seen like you go both. You go Kraken into Trinity.
Yeah, you can do
seems to hit pretty hard.
Double power spike. But yeah, the buffs to Kraken Slayer, Blade of the Ruin King as well. So some decent amount of little on hit taps there.
Yep.
Some of the early things.
Good for Belveth.
Yeah, Bill. I don't know how do you feel about this champ, because it's been high win rate and strong for a very, very long time, but I just don't like how the dashes feel. So I've tried to become a Belveth player multiple times, and every time I do, I don't really enjoy it because of the feel. Even though like, oh yeah, it's really fun when I'm snowballing and and you can like be a big melee carry.
Yeah.
But then the games that it doesn't work out, and then you're a squishy melee, and you're just like, I'm turbo useless now.
I was gonna say, I actually really like Bel'Veth. I think she's one of my favorite junglers to play. That being said, I totally agree with you in that like the way she scales feels pretty bad to me. I am not a fan of her like complete feast or famine playstyle. For me, she would be like maybe my favorite jungler ever if she had more of a, Jarvan style power curve where it's like, maybe some percent damage in her kit, not like so item reliant, because right now it's like, basically Bel'Veth's play pattern is she's very strong at level 3 on your first clear. So you just like try to make something happen. You try to get a kill, and if you can somehow get accelerated, and then you just start taking all the void objectives, and you're just sitting your ult forever, like you're just a complete menace, and you just like run over the game and like end with Herald, right? So I think playing her feels really good, but like you said, it's like the games you win, it just feels unfair, right? Because like her E as well is like, if you're behind, it'll do nothing because I think it's like 4 times more damage if they're low than if they're high HP. So like if you E at the start of a fight, it does nothing, right? And then, but like if you're really fed and you're just like Q, 2 autos, then E, and you one-shot somebody, then like, okay, great. You can just 1v3 at that point. But in games where you're not ahead, and the ulti too, like, if you're having a bad game, obviously you're not getting any objectives. You can't get your ult transform. You're not killing anybody, and you're just like walking around as this like pitiful Bel'Veth who can't go over walls.
Useless.
Yeah, I think I would like her more if she had a more like, balanced. How do you say, like, formula? Like if she was like Trinity Force champion, like more of a bruiser. But obviously that's not what they were going for with a champion. So I still find her fun to play, but I would like her more if she was like, a more regular jungle curve.
Yeah, for me, like the high highs don't balance out the low lows for me. So I was like,
Especially because the high highs, it's like you don't even get to enjoy it most of the time. Like they just give up in FF.
Yeah.
But then the bad games, you're stuck there for 40 minutes.
Or like if the enemy team has like 5,000 CCs on their squad, and you're like, well, my E always just gets interrupted. Anyways, though, they MSI is over, so they're nerfing Lee Sin back down after they buffed Lee Sin up.
He didn't even do well at MSI.
Yeah,
only Canyon I think was like only one who got a win with him.
Yeah, Canyon did.
That was actually a surprise to me. There were definitely certain champs at MSI that like I predicted would be good or bad, and I thought Lee Sin was going to be really good, and he did not do well.
Yeah, but yeah,
TF nerf. They saw the win rate, said we need him to win negative games.
It's just Chovy too powerful. So tap Twisted Fate back down. One that I thought was interesting, but it's not going to be a pro play one for sure, is the Briar buffs, because Briar to me is kind of fun to play, even though for pro play I just think it's probably never going to be used because not being able to control your champ for like any amount of time is too big of a liability.
Hey, you can't dodge anything.
Yeah.
You just get hit by every ability they want to throw at you.
But I do think it is like feels good and feels pretty fun because you get to like really get into that fantasy of like being a psycho and just
Briar's great. I find myself having a lot of fun when I play her. She's also kind of feast or famine, but you have more tools, right? You can just like send in a YOLO ult, or sometimes you'll be bot lane and like you try to ult somebody and you whiff, and then you like hit somebody in the fountain or something and you just go for a ride. I think Briar is a great champion as far as that like chaotic fun.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, like you mentioned, not a good pro play champion. I would love to see her in pro play though. I think she's one of those champs that's like, it would be a fun game if Briar gets locked in. That's not going to be a boring game if she's in it, but she would have to be so broken to justify picking.
Yeah, 100%.
Or the combo me and Sneaky did in Flex Q one time was he was playing Kalista top, which I don't think Kalista top's good. I don't think Kalista's good. But magically, if she somehow could be played, you link Kalista with Briar, and that's actually an insane combo because you can just like ult in completely recklessly and then get pulled out by Kalista and then re-engage when your cooldowns are back up. And it's like, it was actually a pretty strong combo, but that might just be for the flex queue.
That is sick. Yeah. That reminds me of way back when we had ranked fives. Do you remember when there's the queue for rank fives? And Reignover was gone, and this was at the time he was on Immortals with Huni.
Yeah.
And they were like, we need a replacement for jungle for rank fives. And so Huni just invited me off of his friends list.
Okay.
And then we played against TSM.
Oh my God.
And they lane swapped. And
you're just like, dude, I thought I was playing ranked fives.
I thought I was just playing rank fives for fun.
You just queued up for a scrim.
Everyone is yelling at me and they're like, no, now's the time you go here and you go here and you go here. And this was back when like lane swaps were fully like figured out for like 10 minutes straight. It's like, you have to go this, you have to go this, you have to go this. And so everyone's yelling at me. And then, but we just decided Huni was going to play Kalista top. And so he was going to be able to ult me. and it was actually really fun. And so that Kalista top story reminded me of that, even though right now she's probably not in a very good place, huh?
She's not been doing a lot of winning lately.
She certainly hasn't. Azir is getting buffed though, and that is definitely pro champ, so congrats to Azir.
Yeah, I mean, he's still getting played before the buffs too. I think the nice thing about Fearless is I feel like I say it every episode, but I'm just going to keep saying it because I love it so much. Mm-hmm. But it's just so much better for balancing stuff like that too, right? It's like, imagine the couple years we had Cassante in every game, right? If there was Fearless, we wouldn't have Cassante in every game because he would be banned after the first one. And I think Azir's can be kind of similar. So I think it actually allows champions to be better in pro play just because they're not able to be in every game and people don't get as bored. So I think it's cool. Azir, like, he's not that good in solo queue. I think he's hard to play. And I don't know, man. I feel like if Azir didn't have the option to slide in and ult people, his win rate would be higher. Because I swear, people just get this montage vision with him and it's like, hey, I'm a hyper carry who does like insane DPS, but I could use all my tools to get in there and die. Yeah. So I think people definitely get baited by that a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes it's better to just hold your extra abilities, DPS like a range champion like you are, and use them for peel. I've had many a teammate do exactly the opposite, like you're saying, and int it away. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this patch definitely does feel like a lot of solo queue stuff, except for the Twisted Fate and the Azir kind of specific ones. So I honestly do expect our meta to be pretty similar, and continue on. I mean, like, I'm always hoping that we're gonna get some interesting champions that people will pop out, especially since a lot of the teams have been practicing for a long time without getting any stage time. So maybe some of these teams will have cooked some special stuff up. Is there anything else?
Yuumi nerfs. I love Yuumi nerfs because I don't know what it is, but I've been on my top lane grind, like we mentioned earlier, and there's a Yuumi in like every other game, and it is just so not fun.
Honestly, I haven't had that many Yuumi problems, except I had a bunch with people playing Yunara. And I was like, looking at my bottom lane, I'm like, how are you letting them lane at all? That's got to be like such a piss weak lane. But then I always end up with like this multi-item Yunara later in the game with a Yuumi on her. And then I'm like, well,
dude, I mean,
guess we're screwed.
Her damage is insane if she can reach that critical point with an enchanter where like you just, even if you hit her with everything, she just survives it.
Yeah.
It's a scary champion for sure.
Yeah, I'm always glad to see those nerfs.
Some of the other changes, there was the Ziggs changes, which I guess
APA.
Yeah, I think it was like slightly a buff. Set is getting a little nerf. I think that's probably going to affect solo queue more than pro play. But I will say I'm still surprised at the lack of set we've seen in pro play because I get that he's not like the most OP champion ever, but he seems pretty good to me. I really think he could be getting underrated still.
Yeah. With how good Overlord's Bloodmail is right now.
Yeah.
100%.
To me, it always feels like he can be very good in lane. I don't think he's a bad laner at all. His lanes are sharp, as they say at Riot, where it's like, very one-sided usually. He doesn't usually go even.
Yeah. Counter pick is very good for him.
Yeah. But even still, like, I was on before my Ambessa arc, I was on a set arc, and I feel like even in your bad matchups, it's never like that bad because you have like your W and like he's very hard to dive. And then the nice part is as well, like you were saying, Overlord Blood Mail is so strong. Like you just go stride Overlord, and those two items is just like anytime you have that and you go into a team fight with Flash, it feels like you're just going to win it no matter what. Like you have so many options. You can like ult a tank into the back line, get a stun on their carry, but then your W with full grit is close to 2k true damage, and you can just like flash confirm it on somebody. So I still really would like to see more of this champ, but I mean he is getting a nerf, so maybe I'll just have to stay in solo queue.
Yeah, or tune into Whippo Games only.
Yeah,
maybe he'll be the one to pull it out again. Yeah, I think that will wrap it up for this patch because we actually are going to have a fresh one coming out pretty soon, and we are going to continue with staying on live patches for LTA. I'm very excited for that. One of the best things that Mark was able to get done, actually. And glad we're going to continue.
Glad he
with
did
it.
something right.
Yeah, Jesus. He got something. But some sad news now to follow it up. 100 Thieves, it has been announced that this is going to be their last split in the LTA, which then, obviously this is super sad for 100 Thieves fans, but also made me start to really go back down memory lane because even though 100 Thieves was one of these organizations that wasn't an original LCS team, coming in franchising, they have been here a very long time, since 2018, and there are just so many really big moments, especially like right when they entered with you literally on the roster in 2018, and you immediately won the regular season.
Yep.
And like Afromu got MVP. It was I mean it's been, I feel like, a really exciting team for the entire duration, even though it's been a roller coaster for the team up and down. I feel like the stories and involvement has always been really fun stories to follow.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, I had mixed results with my time there, but I had a lot of really good memories too. Like, especially in the beginning when they reached out to me, told me Nadeshot's vision. I still remember getting like, I think it was like a Discord or Twitter DM, and it's just like, hey, what are you doing next year? Because this was like right after my time subbing in for Phoenix 1, where that went pretty well. And it was like, I got to play with Ryu again. We played on Phoenix 1 together. And the beginning of the team was just, it was awesome, right? They were like this cool esports, like streetwear brand. Nadeshot was really involved in the beginning. And like, I didn't know him too much. Like I didn't follow Call of Duty or anything, but like just seeing this guy with like, I think he had like 2.5 million Twitter followers. Like he was huge. He was bigger than any League player. And he was just like this really charismatic dude. He was always cool to be around. I thought that was just awesome that they were getting involved. And like, we were in these insane team houses. Like we had these 2 back-to-back houses that were like, I don't know if they'd be called mansions or not, but they were like really luxury houses. We had like a chef and stuff. So like they took really good care of us. And then that first split, like you said, we ended up winning the regular season. I think like it was just right at the end. We like passed Echo Fox, and then we managed to get to finals. And we played over in
Miami.
The Miami venue against Team Liquid. We speed ran it
quick
over 3. It was a speed run for sure. That didn't go the way we planned, but I still had a lot of really good memories on that team.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Someday. Someday they 100 Thieves made their own Hall of Fame just to put Someday in it.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, Someday was there the entire time. I was there for that first season, 2018, and then I came back for 2020. Someday was still there. Got to play with him again. So he was always just a very, very great teammate, right? It was like he was always like super polite to everybody. He tried super hard, and you couldn't ask much more in a player. So I think it was awesome that they memorialized him like that, made the Hall of Fame for him. It was just like super cool.
Yeah. And then, of course, they did end up winning in 2021 over Team Liquid. So the revenge was delayed, but very worthwhile. And I have a lot of memories of the Huhi and FBI bottom lane as well, them playing together for so long on multiple teams, but a lot of it on 100 Thieves as well. And then, of course, this iteration of 100 Thieves, with Sniper being such an entertainer, I feel like he has breathed a lot of life back into the league with one, because he's so young, but also because he's like he just pops off at every moment. He's going for solo kills, and then he's happy to like laugh at himself when like he doesn't even know like some mechanic on Rumble, or the coaches are talking about him being
there was that one where like
or...
he didn't know what Riven's passive did, and he was like a Riven one trick. It was just like, wait a minute, what?
He's always just stacked it just out of instincts.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Max was saying when he was here earlier, like there are a lot of players who don't read the tooltips, and they just like they do what they saw someone else do, and then it worked, and they kept doing it, and you know what to do, but maybe not why to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think he's been a lot of fun to watch, and especially we've been like competing or like casting LCS for a long time, and so a lot of the players have been there for a long time, but having that like new face come in and just you kind of get secondhand enjoyment from him. Like you just see the joy he's going through.
So
like
excited for everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really contagious. He's been a lot of fun to watch. I think he's done like really, really well for a rookie, but he's also like had some struggles to overcome, just like any other player. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be sad that they're leaving. I think they are a really cool brand, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, hopefully the next brand is going to be super exciting as well. No leaks here, of course. Never. I just hope that these players, because I really love all of these players, I hope that all these players do get to continue on some team in the LTA. The coaching staff as well, both Golden Glue and Sam Spooks are, I think, really good coaches. They're also super good, like, I mean, people always make fun of like when you're like, oh, they're really good vibes and stuff. That means they're not.
Dude, I think vibes is alive and well with DeMonte.
Yeah, just
every team he touches levels up so much. I think that is super underrated, or maybe starting to get the recognition that it deserves. Because at the end of the day, it's like we're human beings, right? And you're expected to give your all into these teams. And while some people think, you should just be a robot with no feelings and grind solo queue 20 hours a day and never lose or whatever, that's just not how it is. We're people, and having fun people to be around is just going to make you want to do it more. It's like you don't want to hate your life, and every team's going to have struggles, and being able to like have those good vibes to help you get through it and still get enjoyment out of it is massive. I think that was like such a big part of Cloud9's early success, something I value a lot. So I don't think it's fake at all. And then another one too, I don't know if you saw, like they picked up Dokla coming into this next split as a coach, and he's a player I play with on Optic, and I've always had a really high opinion of him. I think he's awesome, and now he's doing some coaching stuff. So I think all those players, even with 100 Thieves leaving the league, I hope they're able to find a new home still in the league, because we got like Quid, who's just been an absolute monster mid laner, FBI as well, just a super solid AD carry for a really long time. I think those are players that like I would love to see them keep playing. I think they still have so much more to go, and they've been doing great. Yeah.
So I would say all 100 Thieves fans, follow your player to whatever team that they're going to go for, because for sure, at least some of these guys are sticking around. Of course, it is also really sad that they've given multiple interviews, and we've heard at different times that River is this is his last split. He might have to go back and do Korea military service. So that is super sad, because he is one of my favorite junglers, with how good he is and how creative he is, and how like action packed he makes games with going for a lot of cool angles for engages and stuff, and for ganks. But River also definitely one of the standouts on the team. So hope that their last split with him, they already said like, oh man, we're gonna put a lot into this to make River's last split really exceptional. I hope that this team, even with the news of the brand leaving, are going to be able to focus on the game, still keep their immaculate vibes, still go in and crush the season and have good performances. And I think they will be able to do that. I mean, Sniper literally said like River will be a lifelong friend for me no matter what happens. And I feel like that's true for a lot of the players on this team. So next thing we'll get into is the power rankings. Unless you have any last words.
I mean, I was just going to reiterate what you said, that it's going to be kind of like the Michael Jordan's Last Dance, right? It's like,
yeah.
In a way, we might see something we haven't seen before as far as like there isn't the pressure of, because a lot of players I think on teams can be kind of like self-conscious about the team's strengths. Like, I don't want to be benched going into next year, or like, will I get signed for another split? But all these players are like, this team's not going to be around next split. So it's going to be both like they're going to try to prove themselves to hopefully get picked up the next season. And then also like, it doesn't really matter what happens, right? It's like this is the last split regardless. It's like just make some memories and, play with no regrets. I think that definitely could like lead to some great stuff.
Yeah, I hope so. With that, we have a lot of roster changes to go over.
We do have quite a few.
So we'll go into we'll say all of the roster changes, and then we'll go into the power rankings. And we had Azael send his in as well. So we'll say all three of ours, but the roster changes. Number one is not actually a roster change, but it was previously announced that for FlyQuest that Gakgos was going to come in as a sixth person for the FlyQuest roster, kind of behind Bwipo. I'm not sure if I think that Gakgos will get any actual stage time or not. I could see it happening either way. Bwipo is obviously a very big part of FlyQuest, but he also is like very big on coaching and stuff and building up players. So yeah, we'll see about that. I don't think this is going to affect FlyQuest that much. Like spoiler alert, I'm going to still keep them number one.
Yeah. I think that might be a solid bet. And this one's definitely interesting because I think just my personal opinion on it is I would be really sad to see Bwipo not starting and playing. I think, if they're doing like a split time thing, that's never a great situation. And if he moved into coaching, I would definitely be sad. If it's something he wants to do, then, I would still support him. But he has definitely been a player that's won me over. I think just since he first started playing, he's just been a really like outgoing dude. And, he's not somebody you ignore, right? It's like we've said so many times, like love him or hate him. He's there. He's got a huge presence. And I definitely think that him and Inspired both have had such a massive effect on this team. And even like in the earlier days of the team, before they were winning and people were calling them like the villains and whatnot, and like, they never seemed to let it get to them. And just Bwipo's passion for the game, I think he's one of the most passionate players. He's very outspoken. He'll just like sit down and talk to anybody. Like I was talking to him a while back about top lane, and he was just like going into everything. He's somebody who's not afraid to like hide strats. He just puts everything out there. He's got like, I think he's ranked 2 in solo queue or something, and he gives away like everything he's doing just because he's like, I don't need to hide it. Like I'll just tell you how to do it, and then play me, and we'll both get better, kind of deal. So like, I think he's great for the league. I would be very sad if he wasn't still playing, but it's totally up to him.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. He's done so many like on stream little coaching things as well, not only for top lane but even jungle as well. I'm talking about Trundle and stuff. Yeah. So I think he's definitely been like a very positive influence, I think, in multiple aspects for the league and for the community. Even with a lot of the trash talk, which a lot of players, as you said, mentioned that when they play FlyQuest, they're very happy because of that trash talk to deliver losses to specifically Bwipo or Inspired. But I think it is beneficial either way. And I just hope that this FlyQuest roster does continue to stay together, because it makes it really fun to follow all the stories. We got the young bottom lane of Maxu and Busio, and the elders with Bwipo.
Yeah,
leading.
I am a sucker for a team that keeps the same roster. I love it. Yeah. We just don't see it anymore. It's just so unheard of. Yeah. It's just always roster swaps. That's just the first thing teams try. And the fact that they're like the longest standing roster in the world or something with like 1 year, it's like, wow, okay. I mean,
says a lot. Yeah. Okay, so down the list, though, of the actual roster changes, the next one is Umpty, which people already know from TL's big announcement video. By the way, if you haven't seen the announcement video that TL themselves put out with Umpty, it is so good. It is very honest. It is focused a lot of Umpty's voice as well as Spawn's voice, and it is. You should just go watch it for sure. You might start crying, but either way, it's very informative and definitely a heartwarming one. But I have to say, with the actual roster change, this is going to be one that makes me put Team Liquid a little bit further down, both because of the recent performance that the team actually had, but I also think it's going to take time for them to build up with Yuji. And I talked to LTA junglers from all of the other teams, and literally every single one said that they would be more confident and rather play versus TL that had Yuji in it than had Umpty in it. So that's one of the reasons I pushed them down a little bit for power rankings. But Umpty very clearly, like, he had this kind of unexpected aspect that he would put some pressure on opponents as far as where he's going to gank and how he's going to play. Of course, had some pretty big errors and stuff that led to this situation, but that is another one of the roster changes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting getting to see how Yuji does when he's not splitting time and it's just him, because I think for his debut split, it wasn't bad or anything, but like you said, I think pro players' opinions of other pros is should be the highest weighted thing as far as judging somebody's skill, especially with junglers, because when you play junglers, it's a lot of mind games information. It's like, what is the expected thing for them to do? And the best junglers you play against, it'll just be very hard to tell what they're going to do. Or, when they do have the advantage or whatever, they just press it so hard. It's just like, wow, they're taking every camp. I just can't contest them on these objectives, or wow, they're just showing up at the lanes at the most important times to swing it. So I think that definitely, with all the way people talk about Umpty, I think, yeah, it's probably not matched up with the community sentiment where he was getting flamed so much.
Yeah. Going down the line. Okay. Now we're also getting to some controversial ones, but Dignitas have not officially announced that they are replacing Surdy with Photon, but it was leaked a couple months ago. And so Surdy, who they super hyped up, and we super hyped up as well, with all of his accomplishments in solo queue and tier 2, they're replacing with Photon, which is not going to be the most positive for me either. Spoiler, I might be very skeptical as far as them making this roster swap, but that is going to be another one. Also, there's some things about our day one are any of these players actually going to be able to play and start? I think that this one is probably going through, but there's always the door is open for visa issues and stuff. But Photon was of course most recently playing in TCL, and before that Vitality kind of exiting LEC there on that team, and going over to the TCL. And so him getting picked up isn't this super hype come in and swap, which is why a lot of people are what the heck, give Surdy some time. What was going on with the building? It's kind of hard because all these teams want instant success right now. And so, people are kind of weighing, well, do we invest in the future and keep on building, or are they going to make a swap already?
Yeah, it's tough, and it's pretty unfortunate. I think Surdy was a player that, we had talked about a good amount, and he's someone that pretty much went through everything you needed to do to get into the pro scene, right? It was number one solo queue, grinded all the time.
Worked very hard,
worked hard.
Practice.
Got all the way through to the top of the tier 2 scene. He pretty much did everything you needed to, and it's just a bummer that it never really translated that well on Dignitas. And I think, with any any new player, when you get to the pro scene, there's a lot of things that you've just never seen before, and it does take time to learn. Especially he came into like lane swap meta and all this crazy stuff. And I don't think Surdy had the debut that he probably had hoped for. I think Dig as a whole didn't look that strong, and it's really rare for a rookie on a struggling team to look good at all. So I would like it for someone like him to get more time, but at the same time, if the team is, you never really know what's going on behind the scenes. If it's just like everyone's not gelling or whatnot, then sometimes you do have to make a change. And getting Photon like an import, I think he's Korean, right? Maybe they just, like you said, they want that quick success, just like go for somebody else.
Yeah. They do open themselves up to flame if they don't get it, though.
True.
Another top lane change. Okay, so Disguised have two changes. One is, or excuse me, we'll do the top lane change first, and then we'll do the double Disguise changes. Because Disguise are going to have to play for their spot at the end of the year, and so they're really focused on we need to make some changes right now to find some instant success, and so they're going to change both of their carry roles, mid and AD carry. But the other top lane change is the Lion change, Licorice for Zamudo, which is the one where I actually do think that there might be a visa issue, and so this isn't just a Licorice for Zamudo change. There is a possibility that Zamudo won't be able to play at the beginning with some visa issues, in which case I think that they might have to sub in a college or tier 2 top laner, which obviously is not going to be ideal. And so this change, I personally did not bump Lion down because whoever knows with these visa things, like maybe it actually just works out anyways. But this is something for your tier list. If you're like, weighing that in also, you could bump Lion down or drop Lion down, because if they don't even get Zamudo and they have to use a different sub, then it could be rough.
Yeah, visa issues are such a killer for teams, because it'll be like sometimes you definitely don't get as much practice time as you need to, and then you miss the first week or 2 weeks of the split, all of a sudden you're facing elimination real soon, and the entire time you're playing catch up because you didn't have the time to scrim, get on the same page, figure out how you want to play the game. It's just like you just start throwing band-aid on band-aid on band-aid. It's just like, what can we do to get a win now? And then it's kind of like a shaky foundation or whatnot. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Zamudo's a player that I would be really excited to see. He played on, what was it, like the Maryville team?
Yeah, Maryville, and then the name merged when they were like Dark Zero Dragonsteel.
Yeah, the edgiest team that's ever been. That's badass. But one thing that stuck out for me with Zamudo, on top of being a very good player, like skilled, high rate in solo queue, was that Thanatos actually praised him, which Thanatos doesn't usually do that, right? Like you ask about other LCS or LTA top laners, excuse me, and he's just like, like they're whatever. I don't care about them. But he actually said he was impressed by Zamudo from playing them, which is very high praise coming from Thanatos.
Yeah, and Zamudo does do like some like super damage heavy builds, which people get uncomfortable with sometimes. I think the Gwen one, definitely famous for like the full damage Gwen with like malignance and everything, so like being squishy but being a really big damage threat. And so he's a player that I hope that whatever like rumors on the possible issues that they're facing actually starting in week 1, I hope that they can like solve all these things, and we don't even have to worry about any of this stuff. I hope that all that stuff gets solved, because I would definitely be excited to have him start and be in there. Of course, he is Canadian, and so that's probably where some of the visa stuff is coming from, or at least those rumors. So we'll get into the Disguised double change here. Of course, Abadaga and Scary Jerry. Disguised as a whole didn't have the best of times, of course, in the league. And so
you say that.
I'm not exactly surprised that they're making changes. I did see more community kind of reactions for Scary Jerry, because it's kind of similar to like Surdy or something, where they're like, oh, give him a chance, give him some time or whatever to build on, because people did see some improvement from the very beginning when he started into what the team was able to get to. But they are making the double change for their carries for Darkwing and Rahel.
Yeah, I mean, definitely feel a bit bad for Scary Jerry. I will say that he was one of the players that at the beginning of this team, when I watched their games, to me, it felt like he wasn't ready. A lot of times rookies, they're not going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes, but I just felt like Scary Jerry was not ready for the pro play. He struggled, and he did improve throughout the season. And I actually got to sit down with him over on like the C9 podcast and talk to him. And he's like a really cool guy. So I would have liked for it to go better for him. That being said, though, these teams do need to,
win.
Their bottom line is winning, right? Like they have to win. So it kind of makes sense based on how things go. But I guess he's going over to content or being a sub on the team. So it'd be cool to see him again. But obviously, I think Rahel is a lot more experienced.
Yeah, he's coming from LEC, was playing on SK. I mean, it's also not like a super hype replacement, so I think that's leading into part of it. But we'll see, because they need the results now and instantly. I mean, they got eliminated in LEC super quick with the format.
So did Disguise,
because they only won.
Hope you right at home.
That one game. So exactly, there you go.
And the other change coming for DSG is Abadage is out and Darkwings is coming in. And I guess it kind of makes sense where like Darkwings is another like top prospect from tier 2. He was on Conviction, and he was actually the team that knocked out Near Airport from the playoffs. Everyone was expecting Near Airport to be like top 2 or win the whole thing, and they ended up going down to them. Darkwings is an interesting player. He's a mid laner who's like, he plays a lot of mages. I've heard that his Hui is very good, which would be awesome to see. It's kind of like a pocket pick that I don't know if the champion is actually that strong right now. He feels like he's kind of on the undertuned side, but if you're really, really good at him, then I'm sure you can make it work. And then I guess if you're bringing in another rookie, then it makes sense to have somebody more experienced with him. If you have a team of like all rookies, then you kind of need somebody to lead when you're in the game. So it makes sense. Not sure how this team will do, though. I think that they didn't look very good last split at all. They really struggled. So it makes sense for them to make a change, but change doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go a lot better.
Let's say our power rankings now that we've done all the subs, and we can start at the bottom. So because we were just talking about the Disguised roster swaps, we all three put Disguised at the bottom.
Yep. I mean, they've got something to prove, right? Like, I'm not going to put them any higher after what happened last season and the roster changes. They didn't sign Faker, right? They've got something to prove. Not saying they're guaranteed going to be last, but of the teams we have, somebody's got to be last, and I think they are fitting the bill for now.
Yeah, our bottom 3. Okay, so Disguise 8th. Our bottom 3 for all 3 of us are the same, but me and you put Dignitas as 7th.
Yep.
And Lion as 6th. Azael just had Dignitas and Lion swapped. So maybe he is thinking about the possible visa issues and having to have a sub or something. And so maybe that's why he dropped Lion down a little bit more. To me, last split, Lion, I was like pretty impressed in a decent amount of their games and thought that they could like reach a little bit higher. So I kept them still up at least at number 6, but I think the bottom 3 is everybody kind of agreed on.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with Dig. They're making a change. Surdy out for Photon. I'm not sure that's going to really change too much. It felt like they were kind of coming together, like they were improving throughout the split, but I still think they've got a ways to go. And then Lion, to me, is maybe the team with the biggest range as far as his power ranking.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Right? Like, I think they have the potential to be very good. They could easily be top half, but they've also kind of had some stinkers. And with the potential visa issues, I think that's, taking them down a little bit for me. But I think this team has a lot of talent on it, and I do think Licorice was struggling last season. So if they bring in Zamudo for Licorice and, maybe there's no visa issues, then I can see this team doing really well.
Yeah, for me, I was just it came down to at least the ranking between these two teams. I was just thinking about the carries, and I've been much more impressed with the Lion carries. Saint and Henna, they didn't have all good games, but they had the majority of good games. There was definitely a lot of like feast or famine. Especially if like For Saint had some really high highs, also had some had some stinkers there. But I feel like both of them are very good carries to have, and the synergy that you could see them build up with Adilan throughout the split to me was very impressive, because the last several games that Lion played, they actually got really big early leads by skirmishing in the river with Adilan, and they won a bunch of 3v3s, somewhere on the top side, somewhere on the bottom side, and so it didn't actually matter like who's participating in, but I thought that they actually showed some pretty promising things. So that's give them the extra little bit of nod. I think that was a good way to put it. It was like, oh, the range is definitely there. Like there's definitely some potential for them to reach up. Let's see. Continuing up from the bottom, I had Team Liquid all the way down in 5th.
Wow.
And you and Azael,
hear from Spawn.
You and Azael both had 100 Thieves. Yeah, I literally hear from him every single time, even if I predict them to not win any matchup or something.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear the pitch. Why is Liquid bottom 4?
So actually, my pitch could go from the angle of why I put 100 Thieves higher, but I'll do the TL one down, because TL, to me, I just can't believe that Impact is going to be good again until I see it. I kind of took that route. And I also think that the jungle change really is going to take a while for them to work out and build up with UG. I just see this team as now having no surprise. So even though Umpty would make some very obvious and like big looking blooper plays, like the Skarner ult or whatever, bringing somebody back in type of thing, I really value like making your opponents feel uncomfortable and being able to press the game forward in your favor, especially if you have a really strong lane. Like TL's bottom lane, I still think mega OP. I think their bottom lane is super OP and they should be played to. But if your jungle, all enemy jungles kind of see as being easy to read, then it makes it hard for that jungle to like really help that bottom lane. And so I don't know. That's kind of the reasons. And then if your jungle isn't going to be able to have like some big surprise impact and like help the bottom lane, and Impact continues to not play well, then that's why I decided to go out on a limb and put TL 5th, drop them down a bit, and bump up 100 Thieves. Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense. I think your points are valid. The thing that I think will probably help Liquid is the overblown nature of like lane swaps being dead. I think they were the team that was hurt the most from lane swaps disappearing, because they were like the swapping team, right? Mm-hmm. They weren't really known for having strong laning phases, and Impact was really struggling last split. So, but as we saw MSI, it doesn't matter. You only play the first couple waves anyway, and then you just go ahead and swap.
Just go through.
Get out of those lanes, and I think TL's got good map movement. But how much that was Umpty. He's a creative guy. Will usually be able to fit in, because that's not something you learn in solo queue, how to do a lane swap or whatnot. So we'll see. I have them 4th. I have 100 Thieves 5th, just because, kind of like you were saying, I don't think they're bad or anything, but somebody's got to be 5th. And they looked okay last split to me. I don't know what the news of their departure from the league's going to do to the team. Yeah. Definitely another team that like could be higher or lower, but I think 5th's probably about where they'll land.
Yeah, I decided to keep 100 Thieves higher and keep them in 4th, because I'm banking on the fact that because these players like each other and their coaching staff so much, I'm kind of just betting that the news of the organization leaving next year isn't going to have a detrimental effect. Like that's a bet, right? It's definitely not a given. That kind of news has got to affect anyone in some way. because it does suck. Like, it's going to be in the back of your mind. You don't have as much job security. You don't have as much kind of safety and comfortable feeling. But at least for me, from what I've seen from this team, I think they have a lot of potential, and I think they'll be able to kind of rally each other and, play for like, let's make Rivers last split, super good. And I think they'll be able to hold it down. So kept them up in fourth. I especially think Quid is going to continue to be extremely potent mid laner. The mid jungle, I think, from this team just puts so much threat on any other team. I will definitely have the magnifying glass on Sniper because it's definitely been a bit of a roller coaster for him. But I think there's good things for the future for them.
Yeah.
I put Shopify all the way up in third though because I had 100 Thieves here in fourth, and you did as well. Azael has them fourth. He has TL actually all the way up in third. Maybe we'll ask him about that later. But Shopify, they did finish third in playoffs, but a lot of people were like begrudgingly giving them, the credit or respect. I just decided to full send it. I was like, yeah, honestly, they earned top 3, and with them not making any offseason changes, with a lot of these other teams having them, and especially with TL, not looking as good, and then having their jungle change and stuff. I was like, yeah, I think Fudge's improvements will stay. I think this Shopify team has shown that they built up their synergy and built up basically their ability to, I don't know if it was shot calling or if it, what it was, a mentality change as far as some of these side lane plays where they would just like make the play and it would fail, and then they'd stick around and like make the extra long play there and eventually get counter ganked, or, like some horrendous stuff would happen. But I really feel like they have learned from their experiences. And so I think that, I'm keeping them up there in third. I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't think anyone else was going to keep them, but you did as well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe third is high, but I think with all these teams, it's hard to say. In the same way that I think Lion has a big range, I think Shopify does too, because while they did look very good at the end of last split, like that's kind of what I'm basing it off of, is how they ended, assuming that they can grow on that. But I don't know. This team definitely hasn't proved consistency at all. Something I wish I could see is like how much each team is solo queuing, because I think that,
especially Palafox, he's my boy, but we got look at his solo queue.
I gotta say that to me, that's one of the things that like very closely correlates to how well someone's doing, is like how much time they're just putting into the game. And like I think that this team is like, after the success on energy, some of their players like Palafox and, I mean, Fudge wasn't on energy, but he kind of went through a similar thing where I think they took their foot off the gas a little bit. I think they got a little like too comfortable, maybe a little complacency there, and they just weren't grinding the way they needed to. And then, it catches up to you quick. Maybe you can be good for a bit, but like you're not going to improve as fast as you need to, and everyone else below you is going to catch up. So if they're still grinding hard and they're building on what they did last season, I think they'll be in good shape. But they were looking quite bad not too long ago as well. So, maybe they'll look worse than third.
I think that is a really good point. Not just the solo queue, but did they also get any scrims with MSI teams? Because I know Cloud9 actually got to scrim a bunch of MSI teams, right?
Yeah.
And I like that is obviously very valuable experience. Plus, it is like keeping you locked in during the downtime or whatever.
Yeah, I know that C9 was able to scrim like T1, Genji, AL. Like I think they practiced a lot against AL, and from what they told me, it went quite well. So that's granted, scrims are scrims. Doing well in scrims can be a huge curse, but at the same time, a lot of times when you scrim those top teams in the world, you just get blasted. They don't want to play you anymore. So if you can hold your own and get them to keep playing you and even beat them, that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah. So I think it's a really good point to check on Shopify, whether they were able to keep up both solo queue as well as if they even got any, if they were to keep up scrims and stuff, because I think that is a very big thing, is staying warm basically during the international events for all the teams that don't get to go. I highly value keeping up with as best as you possibly can, especially because I do think the meta is going to be pretty similar. So we're not doing the big season 3 change quite yet. That's going to be a bit later in the year.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think that kind of, we were talking about C9 already. That takes us up to number 2, where we were actually all the same for the top 2, which is kind of rare. Normally I'm putting C9 number 1, but I got to give FlyQuest credit where it's due. I put them number 1 this time, just because they've been so consistent. They've been doing really well, especially internationally. They just look like a solid team, and they've got the best of C9 last time they played. Though I will say the teams are very close.
Yeah.
And I think C9 could beat them and be number 1. Absolutely. It's just, I think it really just comes down to C9 still is working with like really young talent, right? Like I think Thanatos is a total beast, but he's a young dude. He's still learning. Loki as well, I think, hasn't always delivered in the way that the team would like him to, but he's super young. He's a really great dude. He's working hard, so I think they can do it, but maybe they're not quite on Fly's level yet.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am keeping Fly up here. Honestly, like, even though they announced super long ago the Gatghost thing, and I asked Whippo directly about it, I don't think it is going to be one of the situations that puts any like mental pressure on him, or is going to be something where, like, sometimes you worry, a little bit about, if they have a 6th person, is there going to be, conflict on the role, and is any, aspect of the team going to degrade? Personally, I don't think so. And with their MSI performance, obviously I wish they didn't throw at the Nexus, and they had actually ended up beating BLG in addition to G2,
and maybe not a zillion,
but yeah, and oh my god,
they made a zillion mistakes.
See, my dream was that they actually cleanly finished out game number 3, which is really funny because when they had a really good scaling comp, and so I was casting the game, I made the call, and I was like, well, if you don't have faith, why are you even here, type of thing. Oops. And they instantly got their comeback play though, and then got Baron, and then they made, and I was like, oh my god, it worked, they're actually gonna come back. And then even with all of their scaling, they still try and rush the Nexus, and then they even go off in different directions, and they're like chasing people while ending, and I could see it just slipping away. But my obviously super cope dream world, I was like, oh well, if they had just not done that and they had actually cleanly finished out game number 3, then game number 4 would have went exactly the same way, where they stomp BLG again, and then it would be a totally different story. We'd be talking about how FlyQuest are so good, 3-1ing BLG, and NA, NA is the GOAT. But obviously because of the timeline that is true, and then we actually went down, then we had to see that game 5 as well.
Which I didn't.
Which we wish that we didn't have to see, because that was over in the first 4 minutes.
I haven't looked at every single content piece, but whenever I see anything related to that, I try to find an explanation for what happened to Masu at level 1, where he was standing just outside the bush as Lucian, and then got jumped on by Ashe and Shen. Because I put myself in AL's or BLG's shoes in that moment, and I'm like, what are they thinking when they walk into the bush and they see a Lucian just one step outside of it AFK? That's such a bizarre thing to happen on game 5.
So here's my theory.
Okay.
So, he was using the High Noon Lucian skin, which is very popular because it has all these default animations that just go off. The cape is always moving and stuff. It looks super cool. And so I don't play AD carry that much, but when I have and I play that skin, I just move around a little bit just to get him twirling his guns and moving the cape and stuff and looking at it. And I feel like that's what he did, because he was inside and he clicked out just a tiny bit. And I feel like he was just doing the, I don't know, keeping his hands warm, antsy little 80 carry movements.
I mean, it's got to be something.
Oh, God.
My theory is that when I was watching the player cams in that one, his eyes looked really irritated. It might have been the dry air or something. I don't know if he was using eye drops, but like his eyes looked very red and like watery. So I'm wondering if he was just like rubbing his eyes or something and like maybe accidentally clicked outside. But yeah, I've been looking for like what happened with that.
we have to delve so deep.
But at the same time, it's like I wouldn't want to directly ask him because it's kind of rude. But I am really curious.
Yeah, it was. And then the fact that it was immediately followed by the mid solo kill where Quadzillion sees this Galio walking at him under tower, and he's like, "I'm good. I'll just stick a bomb on my head, right?" And Knight just full combos him and walks away, and I'm like, "What is happening?" I was so freaking hyped up. Like my adrenaline was like at the top right now because we just came off really good game 4 for FlyQuest to like even it back up, and then for the beginning of that game 5 to be so deflating. Anyways, we got off on
the whole game 5 was but
we got off on a
we don't need to rehash those memories. We all know what happened. But I mean, I do think Fly will be very strong, and I think with the Gat Ghost thing as well, you got to give Fly credit that like they've made a lot of roster decisions that I don't think most people would, and pretty much all of them have been good, right? Like replacing Jensen for Quad, people were like, what is that? But he fit into the team very well. They picked up Masu and Busio, who were kind of unproven rookies, and they've looked very good. So if they do decide to do something with Gat Ghost in the top lane, there's probably a good reason for it. And I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that wraps up our tier list as well. Thank you all for tuning into this episode. Hope you enjoyed our special guests. I certainly did, the Yunara designer and Ambessa designer. We got a kind of 2-for-1 on our little interview. But that is going to wrap it up for the drive driven by Kia. Be sure to get your LTA tickets opening weekend at the link in the description. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode of The Dive. You can also check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. LTA returns this Saturday, July 26th at 1 p.m. as FlyQuest themselves take on Disguised. That one might be a little bit lopsided. But then Cloud9 play Lion later that day. See you there.